Malo e lele, pulavanaka, whakalofa lahi atu, kia orana, whakatalofa atu, Māori, welcome. Have I missed anybody? My name is Kathy Casey. It's my great delight to chair the Community Development and Safety Committee today. How's the sound? Good? It's my... Oh, too loud? No? It's my great pleasure to chair the Community Development and Safety Committee, and today we are co-hosting the committee with the Pacific Peoples Panel. So the first thing I'd like to do is just introduce the members of the committee, and I'll start down at the right-hand side with Alfie.
Pacific greetings to you all. Southside Councillor. I just want to acknowledge all our distinguished people that's here, Chair. Dame Beatrice will see that you're here. Just so lovely to see you back home after your stint in New York, but just to even the Pacific panel, just want to say, man, this is just so cool. How many talented Pacific people here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So.
Just before Richard, there is a microphone. Yep.
Hello. Kia ora everyone, I'm Richard Hills, I'm one of the councillors from the North Shore, and it's fantastic to see you all here. It's really exciting to also be outside of the town hall and the office and see real life and some people here. So yeah, fantastic to be here, and thank you for Kathy and the advisory panel for organising this awesome event.
Ke te tautoko ake ngā mihi, ia koe hoki te heamana, tō kare me tō mihi raki ake a rātau. He hari kota ngākau ki te atu e a koutou I rungi tēnei rangi. Kia hora hia I ngā mea taumaha ke I rungi o koutou nei puku whiwhi. I au nei, ko Dennis Kirkwood. Ko hoi te mema o te IMSB, Independent Māori Statutory Board. Hara mai au ki te whakarongo, ki te tautoko taumata nei hoa ki ringi tēnei tepu. Nō rere, kei te mihi, tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou.
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name's John Watson. I represent the Albany ward, top half of the North Shore, Hibiscus Coast, West Harbour out that way. So nice to see you all here and looking forward to a great debate.
Kia ora and good morning everyone. My name is Daniel Newman. I am one of the councillors for the Moderator Papakura ward in South Auckland. Good to be here this morning, good to be here in the company of friends, good to see my mate Rowena here this morning. Thank you, great to see you, and looking forward to an excellent meeting.
Kia ora everyone, my name is Sonia Inga, I'm Governance Advisor.
Kia ora, Graham Bodman's my name. I work at Auckland Council. I'm supporting Councillor Casey with the committee this morning.
Kia ora, good morning. 大家早. I'm the councillor for Hawika Ward. Nice to meet everybody. Have a nice day.
Kia ora, Wayne Walker. I'm from the Albany Ward, which runs from North Shore across to the Northwestern Motorway.
Thank you, Wayne. Just before we go any further, I'd love to invite Afa Esumano to just say a prayer at Karakia to open the meeting. Is he
here? Ke whai tau talo. Te atua, te tamana alofa I te langi. Koe o te atua tapu, te atua malu, te atua mana. Whawhtai te tai au tēnei, te aso ngali ko mai ne koe. Whain mātou kau whakatasi te whanatanga tēnei. Ko kamingina ni mātou, te whakatasi mai o tō wanganga tapu. E whamanuia ki tō whanatanga I te tai au tēnei. Me ke eiku, te whanatanga ki te manuia kātou toa. Ono te whakatasi mai o koe te liki. Father God, we just pause at this moment to acknowledge your presence in our midst this morning. And we invite your Holy Spirit to be present with us and bless this gathering this day. And we pray that you will also be with the participants, that will be participating in the debate this morning, that we may all learn something new, something challenging, that will lead us forward in our endeavor to make Auckland a better place to live in. For this we pray and ask in Jesus' powerful name. Amen.
Thank you, Afa Esa. The reason we're here, and you've heard from the councillors, it's exciting to get out of the centre. It's exciting to find new ways of presenting issues that are of importance to the community. Today, it's a Pacific People's Panel turn, and it's my great delight to introduce you to Lau Pepe, the chair.
Hello. Yeah, but yeah, for a farm water, but yeah, few while or few fono, Councillor Casey, but yeah, few while or few Councillor Filipina, for a foil, but yeah, malu lau. But yeah, few way, I'll find a wing a tour. Yeah, le foil, le lavano, fail away tato, uso mauli, tangta finwa, kiora. Malo so fu ma langi ma fa tele o lofle tu on ma fa tato fe lo I luma nu la tu nu. Yeah, malo lava. Good morning, everyone. Really blessed to have the opportunity to be here with the councillors and with all of you, the community, coming out in strength. And for those watching live stream, again, really blessed to have you guys engage and be part of this. At this stage, I'd just like to invite the fellow panelists if they can just introduce themselves as well. So for my fellow panelists, probably starting with Afa Ese, if you want to stand up, introduce yourself to the rest of the community. Thank you.
So happy to be here this morning and to participate in this debate.
Malo lovely story for Malalangi ma kia namahi atu kia koutou I tēnei wā. Warm Pacific greetings to all of you. Sorry, my back to some of you there. My name is Helen Ta'oflisi, Wharawa'au is my chiefly name as well. Just a really beautiful day to have here, and I really wish you all best, especially Jordan, who's one of our panelists as well. I'm sure he was up all night last night going over his speech. And the lovely ladies who did the promo for us on 531 PI, amazing work, and over 1,000 views I saw, so well done. And looking forward to today.
Bulavanaka, Malole Sufua, Malele. Langi Mama, my name is Karolinge Harris, and I'm just really blessed, and I think just something that I just wanted to say that this is the day that the Lord has made, and let us be rejoice and be glad in it. Whawhatai lava. Yeah, manuela for today.
Thank you very much, everyone. Before we head in, we have some boring business of the meeting that we do have to do, but before we even do the boring business part of the meeting, Sonia would like just to talk about housekeeping matters.
Okay, so I won't take up too much of your time. Just to let you know that just the fire evacuation procedures, you've got the exits on this side and also down the hallway here. So if there is a fire evacuation, please meet out in the courtyard behind me. The toilets are also down the hallway down here on my right. And if you've got your mobile phones, if you can have them on mute, please, or vibrate, that would be great. Thank you.
Fantastic. So it is a committee meeting of Auckland Council, and we'll start with apologies. Sonia.
Okay, so the apologies today are from Mayor Phil Goff, IMBS member Tony Kake. We've got Efiso Collins, who's the Deputy Chair. Sir John Walker also has his apologies. Councillor Greg Sayers and Councillor Josephine Bartley for lateness. and our Filipina for early departure.
Thank you, Sonia. I'll move those apologies be accepted. Seconded by Alfie. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Declarations of interest, anybody? There are none. Confirmation of minutes. I will move the minutes of the last meeting. Seconded by Wayne Walker. All those in favour? Against? Carried. We'll use first names. The rules are different at my committee, if that's okay with everybody. It's a bit more informal. There are no petitions, there is no public input today, we have no local board input, we have no extraordinary items, so it's my great delight to hand over the meeting to my co-host, Lau Pepe.
Thank you, Councillor Casey. We'll get straight into it. So today we'll just go straight into the debate. So the topic is, Auckland, is it the best place for Pasifika to live? And I have the pleasure of introducing the moderator and the debaters. So first up, if I can just say, if you can just either stand or wave so that the audience and those watching at home all around the world can see your beautiful faces. So firstly, the moderator is Taito Eri Tuavi'i. That's the moderator. Taito is a senior hearings advisor for Auckland Council. Prior to working for Council, he served as a public affairs specialist for the US Embassy, focusing on US, New Zealand relations across New Zealand and the Pacific. Thank you. Everyone can give a hand for Taito, please. Yeah. And firstly, the affirmative team. So we have Shamabil Yaqub. Shamabil is an popular guy. Didn't even get to do his intro, he's already clapping. So he is an experienced economist, financial analyst, and author. He has worked in various banks and consultancies in New Zealand and Australia. He's a regular media commentator and has authored several books. The most recent are Generation Rent and Growing Apart. Shamabil. Yeah. Secondly, we have Rowena Emil Brown. She is the CEO of the Cook Island Development Agency New Zealand and is an active leader for the Pacific community. Rowena has strong relationships across government and the private sector, which has allowed her to successfully lead many community-based projects in Auckland. Rowena. Next, we have Latavia Tualasea Tautai. She hails from the Samoan villages of Levi, Amaile, and Solosolo. She is the recipient for the New Zealand Youth Award for Leadership 2018 and is a third-year student at the University of Auckland studying a conjoint of law and arts, majoring in politics and Pacific. Latavia has achieved a lot of things and she is still only 20 years old and is still heavily involved in various community and governance groups, including a welfare expert advisory group for the government. Latavia. And for the negative team, we have Jordan Kitely. He is a member of the Pacific People's Advisory Panel. Jordan is a chartered accountant with over 15 years of experience in finance management, performance measurement, and accounting, with a strong background in insurance and telecommunications. He is a proud West Aucklander, because that's the promised land, and we all know it. Jordan has also lived and worked in Switzerland, UK, and Ireland. Jordan. Yep. Next up, we have Voniani Nawakoa Vanua, and he is a Fijian community leader that established the Fiji Bar Province Community New Zealand organization in 2013 and was part of the leadership team that pioneered the Fijian Language Week celebrations in collaboration with Fiji Day for the last 5 years. Voniani is a voluntary community leader with the Lions Club, Auckland, and the Manukau Beautification Trust that cleans the cities and towns of South Auckland. Voniani. And finally, we have Ngalu Malemana Latafale Auva'a. She hails from the Samoan villages of Alafua and Tiavea. She is a recipient of a prestigious 5-year law scholarship and graduated from the University of Otago, so we'll forgive her for that, guys. With a conjoint degree in law and music. She has reached national representation for New Zealand and Samoa in sport, choral music, performing arts, and modelling. Latafale is currently working for a law firm in South Auckland. Latafale. Okay. So again, the purpose of the debate, as Councillor Casey has advised, is just a great platform, for us as a community to hear and share about key issues that are impacting our community. The three key areas are housing affordability, civic participation, and belonging. So the debate will have those three themes or resonate right through the entire debate from both sides. And hopefully the purpose of this is that there will be some sort of report or list of recommendations that will come from this dialogue, and that will obviously be put forward to a lot of the council members that you see here that will help to inform and influence the decisions they make that affect us on a daily basis. So without further ado, just like to introduce Taito, and the floor is all yours, my friend. Thank you.
Tēnei te mihi atu ki a koutou, kua awhi mai nei ki te tautoko, te kaupapa ko tēnei hui. Me ngā whānau kua tūtei mai ki ki te pukamata. Ka tika te mihi atu ki ngā kaikaunihera ko Tāmaki Makaurau, ngā mihi o Nōrei ki ngā hea mana Casey. Ka tika te mihi atu ki a koe ko Mātua Dennis. E mohi o tia, e whānui tia, e pā ana tō tino mahi ki te kaupapa tō rangapu Māori, nō reira tēnā koe. Ka tika te mihi atu ki ngā mema ko te Tangata Poronihiana Advisory, Pacific People's Panel, ki ngā kai kōrero, ngā mihi nui ki a koutou. Ko te tūmanako, he pai te whakawhiti kōrero i wainga nui i a tātou. Nō reira tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. The format for our debate will be 5 minutes for each speaker, with time indications given as per prior arrangement. If you go over the time allocation, speakers, you will lose 50 calories of your meal allowance for today per 10 seconds you go over. For your information, the meal allowance is 200 calories today. The Pacific Aotearoa Langa full report published in November 2018 by the Ministry for Pacific Peoples posits that the values, culture, language and identity of Pacific peoples is now at the centre of government's policy programs, that we are more than just transactions, programs and costs. Quote, while the desire for social and economic prosperity is still front of mind, the shift in thinking has landed upon innovative change, particularly in the entrepreneurial space for Pacific peoples. Similarly, in an opinion piece by Whanana Councillor Phil Collins, October 2018, he highlights that Auckland often boasts of its status as the capital of the South Pacific, having the largest concentration of Pacific peoples in the world. Quote, Pacific talent, culture and prowess is on display everywhere you turn. Pacifica people are increasingly filling senior roles in the business, education and legal professions. Think back to the migrant story of Pacific peoples. It is one of the promised land. And thus I put the question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is Auckland the best place for Pacifica to live? Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the topic in the affirmative, Shamabil Ekwab.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation and the welcome. I was very skeptical about accepting this invitation today. And the reason for that is I think debates are very challenging when you have to polarize a situation and a topic. The reality is that there are no black and white. In everything that we discuss is shades of gray, and we must, on balance, decide whether we like it or not. And for me, the word best has so many connotations, right? That when you think about it in terms of what is the best that we want, do we all have the best in our lives? I think we have aspirations for it, and we must ask, can this place provide that aspiration, or do we already have it? I would argue that we have aspirations for the best for Pacifica in Auckland, but I don't think we have it for Pacifica in Auckland. There are huge gaps, there are huge opportunities, but we should not shy away from the fact that positivity doesn't mean that there is no room for improvement. For the rest of the debate, I'll be an honorary Samoan. Most of you probably don't know that I lived in Samoa between the ages of 10 and 13. I went to Leififi Intermediate and Samoa College. So, you know, not great kind of lineage, but certainly I did live there for a little while. Now, when I was thinking about this in terms of how do we set this conversation and why do we think about Pacifica as a very important part of our conversation, the main reason for that is we've voted with our feet. Auckland is where Pacifica live. It doesn't matter how you cut and dice it. The reality is that with our feet, we have voted that this is the best place for Pacifica to live. Across the Pacific, this is seen as the place of opportunity. It doesn't mean there are no issues or challenges, but certainly when it comes to where we live, it is where the Pacifica choose. And this story goes back a long way, and Taito talked about it, right? The immigration story that started since pretty much the 1950s. You know, that really is what paved the way for the concentration of Pacifica that we see in New Zealand, but in particular in Auckland. And the motivations and the opportunities and the successes of Pacifica have changed over time. There are many reasons why New Zealand has this very special relationship with the Pacific. Part of it is our shameful history of colonization, but part of it is also this incredible opportunity that we're able to provide for the people who wish to seek it. The reason why I choose to live in Auckland, and the reason why all of us choose to live in Auckland, is because Auckland is an amazing city. It has huge opportunities. It has an economy that is vibrant, that is dynamic. It has jobs that you could get nowhere else. It has lifestyles that you could get nowhere else. It has our friends and families that cannot be replaced. These are the connections that make a place what it is. This is what it makes it home. This is why Auckland is the best place to live. I think quite often when it comes to the issue of Pacifica, we quite often take a deficit lens, right? All the things that we're not doing, all the things that we haven't achieved. But we shouldn't forget the alternative, where we came from and where we started. If you think of the story of the migration that started in the 1950s, a lot of these people came with very few resources, but they made a real life out of it. And the successes that we have seen in successive generations is extraordinary. The improvements that we have seen, particularly amongst women in education, is striking. We have so many positives that we can celebrate. Yes, there are still gaps, but the progress we're making is what should be encouraging us to do more. But when I look around New Zealand, when I look around Auckland, one of the things that frightens me the most is that the housing crisis that we see today is one of the biggest challenges that faces Pacifica. It's not because the issue is unique to Pacifica, it's because the issue is so much more concentrated and so much more impactful for Pacifica. They're young, they're starting from less education, less income, and less wealth. That means all the problems that we talk about with housing are concentrated and magnified and have an outsized impact on this community. The consequences or the causes of the housing challenge are well known. You can read my book about it if you like. But the reality is that we must accept that it is not the fault of the Pacifica that they're affected by the housing crisis, but that is a cry, a battle cry for us to do more. And the conversations that I have around Auckland in particular quite often center around very basic issues like, can we have access to secure housing? People are not asking to own million-dollar homes. They're looking for a place that they can call home, that they don't get kicked out of, or their kids are sick as a result of living in their place. It is shameful that in today's day and age, we have kids growing up in New Zealand, in Auckland, that get rheumatic fever. It is a shame on our national conscience that this is allowed to happen. And we have done it by benign neglect over many decades. The lens of Pacifica should not be about saying that there is a deficit. It should be saying that we have allowed this failing to happen over and over again, and a price that is borne disproportionately by Pacifica and Maori. When I look around New Zealand and look around Auckland, the answers are not difficult. We all know what the answers are. What we require is far greater civic engagement and holding these good folk to account. How will we get our politicians to deliver on the ambition that we have for our city? When it comes to our housing in Auckland, we do not have enough social houses. Our state housing waiting list is ballooning, and there are people who are living in cars and garages and in situations that is completely and utterly unacceptable to all of us. Our rental housing market is completely undersupplied, and yet we have no credible plans to build more. We build expensive homes, but we don't build the types of homes that our people need. But fundamentally, the issue that we're talking about and the issue that we could address to really unlock Pacifica is to give them what every New Zealander and every Aucklander wants, a safe, secure place to live so they can raise their families and go to work and achieve the best that is possible for them. The dreams, hopes, and aspirations of Pacifica are not that different from the rest of New Zealand, but we are charging an additional tax by trapping them in a poverty in housing that is not acceptable. If we're going to make any change, ultimately I think it is about empowering folk to do more. It is about taking charge of the challenges that they face, but also to tell them that it is possible for us to strive to be better. I have a few suggestions in terms of what we could do that the councillors should take into account when thinking about Pacifica. The first is, you can take as many calorie allowances as you want. We should have minimum portions set aside for inclusionary zoning and new housing. You must address that at the next unitary plan change. And the second thing is you must encourage build to rent, because there is no way we will be able to fix the shortage of housing for New Zealanders, and particularly for Pacifica, if we don't provide better quality housing that's available for rental. Ladies and gentlemen, Auckland is the best place to live, but it can be a hell of a lot better. Thank you.
Schooled in Samoa, plus 10 votes. Mention the moderator's name, 10 votes. Plug book sales, minus 150 calories. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the case for the negative team, I give you Kelston's finest, Jordan Kitely.
Talofa lava, mahalo sui fua, and good morning all. My name is Jordan Kitely, and I'm a member of the Pacific People's Advisory Panel, and I'll be opening for the Against team on the debate, Auckland is the best place for Pacifica. Firstly, I'd just like to acknowledge the chair of the Community Development and Safety Committee, the chair of the Pacific People's Advisory Panel, councillors, panel members, and the community. Whawhatai lava. Not too sure if I need to go into my my debate, because I think Shamu Bill actually wants to join our team. But yeah, thank you. Big fan of Shamu Bill, and I'm grateful that he's here today. I'm an Aucklander. I was born in Auckland, raised in Auckland, educated in Auckland, and I've spent most of my working life here in Auckland. You know, I love this city. It's my home. And actually, it's really hard for me to be in the Against team. But I think it's time that we think about this topic a bit harder. And I know that in the last 5 years, for me, I have been thinking about it a lot. We agree with a lot of the things that Shamu Bill just talked about just now. But we think that the statement that Auckland is the best place for Pacifica is false. And as Shamu B talked about, there's a lot of things that have changed. When I'm thinking about topics like this, I often think about my grandparents and how they came to Auckland from Samoa. And I'm a strong believer that you need to know where you came from to get to where you're going. And their story is very similar to a lot of Pacifica. You know, they arrived here in the 1950s, looking for work, looking for education, and looking to help family back home in Samoa. They came here for the opportunities. And they took advantage of those opportunities. They got employment. My grandfather pursued his aspirations as a boxer. They got married. They bought a house. They had 8 children. And then they also helped other families from their villages come here and establish themselves here in Auckland, and they also in turn benefited from those opportunities. And as Shamu Bill pointed out, you know, they voted with their feet. We came here in a lot of numbers from around the Pacific. Now we fast forward to 2019, and what are the opportunities that are available to us? Again, the affirmative team spoke about a lot of the opportunities. You know, education is relatively still free, unemployment's at an all-time low, and average household incomes are at their highest levels ever. And our people are educated, and there's a lot of opportunities within sporting and other areas. So, it sounds great, right? And it is, we've come a long way. But it's getting hard. I think we can all testify that it's getting hard to get ahead here. If your family's not in a position to help you financially, or you're looking to have a young family, it's getting tough. A lot of families are just getting by from week to week. And for me, the core of the argument, of the reason why it's so hard, is housing affordability. I had a look at some of the stats, and New Zealand in general, the average house price to average household incomes was between 2 and 3, between 1957 and the 1980s. So that meant if you're making $10,000, average house price was going to be about 20 to 30,000. So that sounds pretty good, right? And in 2008, it had a record high of 6.5. And I was reading PwC's document called New Zealand's Affordable Housing Dilemma. And in there, they said that a multiple of 5 is defined as severely unaffordable. I did the numbers for September 2018. Auckland's now 9. It's almost double that 5, that severely unaffordable. So no wonder it's tough. And I think we all know what the negative social outcomes of this affordable housing crisis is, and it's you just need to look around you to see what those things are. So I'm not going to go into that a lot, but what I do want to say is that, and again, Rebuttal talked about this as well, is that Pasifika disproportionately impacted by these issues. And one of the reasons is that we've got low home ownership rates. It's been declining. We're under 1/5 of us owning our own homes. And so it was 17% in 2013. And if you compare that with European, theirs is 54%. So, more of our families are renting, and they're more susceptible to issues like transients and substandard housing. And, this issue is creating inequality. So for those that are fortunate enough to own their own homes, they've got the stability from being able to stay in those homes long term. And they also benefit from the values of the value of their homes going up. So they'll probably be sitting on the other side of this fence of this argument because their wealth is growing. Meanwhile, those who are renting, that Kiwi dream of owning your own home is getting further and further out of reach. So, Auckland is severely unaffordable. And unless we start getting creative, getting innovative, and pushing the boundaries, doing things differently, that problem's not going to go away. And so to my Pasifika community, I say again, you need to know where you came from to get to where you're going. And like our parents, grandparents, and our great-grandparents, we need to think about where those opportunities are. Are they here in Auckland? Or maybe they're somewhere else in New Zealand. Perhaps they're in Australia. My cousin, he's 27, works in a factory, lives in Melbourne, just bought his first home last year. I'm a chartered accountant. I bought my first home when I was 30. And I wouldn't have been able to buy that house if I hadn't lived in Switzerland. So it wasn't because I was living here. So just puts things in perspective. So maybe we need to look further than just Australia as well. So where are the opportunities? And I'm not too sure they're here anymore. So we need to vote with our feet again. Yeah, whakatai lava.
Went to a great school, 20 points. Name recognition, 10 votes. Shade game on the opposition, 20 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, the hard work's been done. The parameters, the boundaries have been set. The arguments have been laid out before you. Now it's time for gloves off. No reaching across the table, but feel free to throw some shade. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite you to make welcome the CEO of the Cook Islands period, Rowena Emil Brown.
Kia ora tātou. Can you hear me? Kia ora tātou katoa, te popoki mānea. I thought I was going to get a big old fight on my hands this morning, but I don't think I am, because Auckland is the best place for Pacifica to live. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to wow you with any statistics, and I'm definitely not going to be doing any fancy retorts at all this morning. But I am going to tell you the story and the journey of a Pacifica girl, mine. A story I haven't told anyone, and I want to do that this morning because Pacifica loves Auckland and so do I. I want to tell you that there are men and women in this room who have helped my Pacifica journey be an emotional and a full and well-lived one. I want to acknowledge Sina. I went to school with Sina. Do you know we were one of only 2 Pacifica girls at Epsom Girls during our time? She was the first head girl for Epsom Girls Grammar School. Not many people know that. Changed our world. Can I acknowledge Councillor Alfie? He has been part of my Pacifica journey with Manukau City Council and Auckland City Council all of my life. Councillor Daniel Newman, Manurewa, I served there for 5 years. He was part of my life as a Pacifica woman working to serve the community. Councillor Casey, you've sat in my lounge. You probably didn't know that. My husband opened the door to you when you sat in my lounge and you spoke about Auckland. You changed our life, and we voted for you. I want to tell you that Auckland is the best place for Pacifica. It has been the best place for me. I want to tell you about a little girl who, at 6 weeks, her mother left her in Rarotonga, Cook Islands, with her mama and papa to raise her. When my mama died, my papa said, let's go to Auckland. My story is about choices, opportunity and hope of that old man. He brought 2 little girls to live in Auckland. We lived in Otara with our family. We lived in 1 bedroom, all 3 of us. We had a home. This isn't always about housing affordability. It's about homes and how families have built those homes together. We lived, my papa could not read or write. I was his reader, his translator, and his writer. I was that. He worked for the post office, and he worked very hard with very little income. When he had enough money, he moved us to a place where we could get good education, my sister and I. We moved to Parnell. You could say all of the houses from Parnell right through to even today, we lived in the best street, but possibly in the worst house. The worst house in the best street. I want to tell you that I love this place. I walked everywhere. I have enjoyed Okahu Bay. I have loved Mount Eden. I have walked Mangere Mountain. I lived at Shakespeare and I went to Long Bay. I've enjoyed the whole of Auckland in my life. My family caught buses everywhere. We walked everywhere. My papa grew things in his garden to feed us. We lived on very little, but he saved and he had us live in areas in the community across Auckland that would give us the best start in life. I went to Newmarket Primary because we lived in a little place in Parnell that only had 1 bedroom and had 5 of us in it. We moved to Mount Eden so I could go to Newmarket Primary. We moved to another little place in Newmarket so I could go to Auckland Normal. I also got an opportunity then to go to Epsom Girls Grammar School because of the choices and the opportunity that my papa knew we could have if he worked and sacrificed enough. So my job is to ensure that those dreams and aspirations that he had for me were not lost. And so they have not been. And as an adult, we talk about a sense of belonging. I talk about community. I belong to a church community. I belong to a school community. I belong to a Pacifica community that required work. We worked for those things. We sacrifice and we contribute to those places because that is how you get belonging, by contributing and participating. As a wife and mother, we have chosen Auckland to be our city to raise our family. We have bought in Auckland. Is it time? I'm hopeful for the future. Look how smart he looks today. I'm so impressed with that outfit. I just want to close. I want to close really by saying, as a professional woman, as a child, as an adult, as a wife and a mother, this place, I love the smell of it. I love the look of it. I will live nowhere else in the world because I love to see our people. I love the faces of our people. I'm in love with you. I tell you that because those faces is what inspires me, what keeps me going, what keeps me grounded in the community that I serve and the work that we do, because we're doing amazing work. Thank you. Oh, sorry, no, one more. Look, I wrote this. It says, Auckland reflects me, it shapes me, and I it. It has given me opportunity, friendships, family, community, and the people that I love.
Pulled at the heartstrings. 20 points. Engage the audience, name recognition, another 20 points. Shout out to the councillors, 50 points. Man. Oh man, even brought the moderator into her argument. Part of your T's and C's are you're not to do that, but that was very smooth. However, then you went to Epsom. You also declared a conflict of interest to Chairperson Cassie. No votes, no lunch, no kidding. Although I will finish, ngā mihi Rowena, by saying that your employment prospects at Auckland Council's marketing team, because of the content of your debate, went through the roof. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, ngā luma mana la te whale au waa. Now, if you sing and you dance, because I know that you're incredibly talented, great. Right, this run sheet's wrong. Let's just put it over there. Voniani Ngā Vanua, who is the president of Fiji. Noa ia e Maori from your people in Rotuma, which I hail to. The floor is yours, my brother.
Nisambula Vinaka, and greetings to the Auckland Council. Ladies and gentlemen, Bula Vinaka, and greetings to you all. So my team says that Auckland is not the best place for Pacifica people to live in. Sorry, I'm going to be reading from my notes, just so that I don't miss anything that I prepare for hours, just so that the Auckland Council can take notice, please. Well, I would like to say that Auckland is not yet the best place for Pacifica people to live in. In fact, Auckland has the potential and the opportunity to be the best place for Pacific people to live in. It's not just not there yet. Even though Pacific people have settled in this country for the past 60 years, socioeconomic indicators have shown substantial and growing inequalities for Maori and Pacific compared to other ethnic groups. However, there is a need to do more for Pacific people in Auckland if we make this truly a great place to live in. Pacific in Auckland continue to be poorly represented in key statistics on education, achievement, house ownership, health and well-being, employment. In employment, Pacific people are concentrated in the lower rings and lower paid positions. There is a very low representation of Pacific people in management position, government levels of organization in private and public sectors organizations. The question we ask is why? Auckland Plan talks about belonging and participation and as one of its key pillars. In my view, Auckland still has a long way to go to make Pacific people truly belong and participate meaningfully in the affairs of this great city. let alone this great nation. You ask me, where is the proof? I say to you, look at the statistic of key socio-economic indicators that I've just mentioned. The thing is that Pacific is now the fastest growing ethnic group in New Zealand. 1 in 3 births in Auckland is Pacific people. Our population is young. Almost 50% are below 22 years age. At this rate, majority of our upcoming generation will form a considerable portion of workforce into the future. The dynamics of Pacific in Auckland is changing or has changed. Their story is no longer a story of migration. Auckland must now respond to the second, third, fourth generation of Pacific, who has now made Auckland their permanent home. Auckland must meaningfully engage with Pacific people to get the best out of them. There is diversity within Pacific itself that Auckland must recognize and respect, because only then can meaningfully and belonging participation begins. The only place where I would think Pacific is doing very well, perhaps, is the All Blacks. Most of our children are gifted rugby players. You see them all. But look at the management and government levels of rugby organization. There is very low, almost zero Pacific participation or representation. We do all the hard yards on the sports field, factory works, doing low-pay job, and yet we are poorly represented in decision-making level. Why is that? Pacific people are seen to be used and not to be heard. Something must change, and it takes collective effort on our part and key organizations to make a change. I call on the Auckland Council, please respond better to Pacific people. In conclusion, if Auckland Council does not respond now, it will pay a higher price in the future. The significant and extensive inequalities that Pacific faces in Auckland will continue to grow and will snowball into the coming decades. Auckland City will pay too much higher price for that in the future. We live in this city together, share the love, share the wealth, make this place truly great place to live in, because what is good for Pacific people is good for Auckland and is good for New Zealand. Ladies and gentlemen, Vinaka Wakalevu.
Vinaka Wakalevu Voniani, use of buzzwords, potential and opportunity. Of course, you hail from a country that makes pure Fiji cosmetics, Fiji water. The points are just coming and coming. But because it's election year, and that was a great, well-prepared speech, show of hands, councillors, who's got room for a policy advisor in your team this year? No, I'm kidding. Vinaka Wakalevu, that was fabulous. I'd like now to hand you over. So we've now got the final speakers on either side. In case you haven't figured out, the noise that keeps coming from your right is not someone banging the glass accidentally. That's actually your time. I've just figured out that you mightn't be quite clicking who keeps banging the glass over there. That's a time indication. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Latavia Tualasea Tautai.
Talofa lava. I think we've been sitting for quite a bit of time, so I just want to warm up the crowd a bit. So when I say Hati, you say Auckland. Hati! Auckland. We can do better, Okilani. Okay, when I say Hati, you say Auckland. Hati! Auckland. Love that for us. Awesome. So before I begin, I just wanted to acknowledge that each of the people on the panel are the products of our family's migrant dream being realised. And you might think, oh, we be your 20. But I just want to acknowledge that and the shoulders that we stand on, and that they chose Auckland to be our home, and that's where we are. But I'd first like to start off with a few rebuttal points towards the negating team. Yeah, I did high school debating, so I'm getting a bit into it. Yeah, it's negating, not negative, just letting you know. But awesome, so we just want to look at housing first. So the first speaker highlighted housing, and the thing is, we know the problems. We know housing isn't affordable, and I've lived it. My family moved over 14 times growing up. We experienced homelessness. I've been there. I know the realities. But I'm also sick of this deficit approach. What are the opportunities that we can take to be better, to improve the outcomes for our people? We've got shared equity options, investment in social housing, rent-to-buy schemes, working towards people being able to buy their state homes. These are opportunities to be innovative and to create change in a strengths-based way, which is really awesome. And I think often we talk about these statistics, and the negating team was really good at naming like different ranks and statistics and things. But the thing is that innovation and these qualitative stories, which our second speaker highlighted, cannot be measured, and they're so meaningful and important to who we are as Pasifika. Also, so for my second piece of rebuttal, in regard to what the second speaker said, he said, Auckland isn't the best place yet. And to that I say, if not us, who? But also, I think Auckland is the best place for Pacificans to live. We said that, but we can do so much better. Here in Auckland, we are setting the benchmark for how we are treating and how we are investing in Pasifika people. This is where the resources are, and this is where the stories are and the people are. So it's an opportunity for us to raise that benchmark for what we're going to deem as being the best, because we are the best, and we want to empower people. We don't want to say, not yet, sis, you know? If not us, who? If not now, when? And now's the time to invest in a meaningful way in our people to thrive. Awesome. And I also want to touch on the socioeconomic measures and these kind of measurements of success that the negating team talked about. But I also want to acknowledge that these are very Eurocentric and capitalist measures for what it means to be successful. Because I know for a fact that each of our grandparents and parents should have PhDs in sacrifice. And they gave it all up for us here to be in Auckland and to thrive. And I just want to acknowledge my nanny. She doesn't have Facebook, but hopefully she'll see it because I'm her favourite. And her story to come over here to Auckland, working 2 jobs, raising six children by herself. Sorry, my cousin's in the audience. Raising 6 children by herself in South Auckland. And I'd also like to highlight the words of a young Pasifika poet. I went to a poetry slam, trying to be artsy, recently in Auckland, and a young student from South Auckland said, South Auckland's the only place that will say my name right. And that speaks a lot to belonging. And it speaks a lot about our young people. And as one of the token young people on the panel, I'll talk a bit more about that, like in depth. And I think we talk about investment, and we're not doing enough in all these statistics. But Auckland is where we are investing in our Pacific young people. For example, we've got the Tula'i program in West Auckland. So all my Westies will know about the incredible work that they're doing to empower in a strengths-based way our Pacific people. And then we've got the MATES program at Auckland. Oh, that was fast. We've got the MATES program at Auckland Uni, where you have these university students, and I acknowledge the privilege that comes with being at university. But also in Auckland, we're making sure people don't forget their roots and where we come from. We go back to the Decile 1 schools we come from, and we show our young people and our children that it's possible. And what you see in the media and these Police 10-7 stereotypes aren't true. And our people are so resilient. And I think a lot of the deficit thinking on the negating team actually comments on our resilience and our strengths and the power of us as Pasifika, and also the testimony shared by our second speaker and the books written by our first speaker. So we've got there's other groups like my youth group, Young Vinnies, another plug. We volunteer weekly in prisons, in the city mission, in the hospital. These are opportunities in Auckland that I don't think are very plentiful elsewhere. We are setting a benchmark and we need to raise it. Linda T. Smith, let's go tangata whenua, said, the future of New Zealand depends on how much we invest in our Māori and Pasifika young people. This is where we are investing, and these are the opportunities for us to be the best and to be even better. Awesome, so that was only my negating points. I'm just going to quickly, I'm going to quickly finish up and wrap up, because I actually do want the food. And around belonging, I want to comment on that. We've got a Samoan proverb, and it translates as to serve now for a better tomorrow. The fruits of our ancestors and of our grandparents and their labours are evident in Auckland. They served for us to receive these better opportunities today, and we need to continue to serve to improve the outcomes for our people tomorrow. Whakataitele lava.
Ma lo lava whaaftai Latavia, mo lau whaasoa matango Fielia. So, you know, she kind of had me when she said our grandparents should have PhDs in sacrifice. I need a bigger handkerchief for that. That was terrific stuff. Thank you very much. But then you had to go plug his book again. So that's Malo lava, Malo, terrific stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, our final speaker for today, her reputation is well known. She is intelligent, she is talented, and ngalman mana, if you dance or sing, I love the arts, you get 50 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, ngalman mana latafale auva'a.
Okay, mili. Okay, that's enough. Latavia started with a bit of energy, so I'm going to start with some energy, hey? Oh my goodness, talofa lava whaftai, lava mole avanoa. Whoever said that I had 4 minutes, this should turn into another cultural perspective on timing. 4 minutes is not enough. My name's Latafale Alva'a, and our debating topic is, well, our debating topic today is not Auckland is going to be the best place or Auckland is aspiring to be the best place. The topic today, which we're discussing, is that Auckland is the best place for Pasifika to live. And as much as I'd like the statement to be true, unfortunately, we on the negating team believe it's false. And yeah. Here's the reasons why. All right, the first affirmative speaker has actually played into our reasons quite well. He talked about aspirations. He said aspirations was the definition of the best. And sorry, but I do disagree with you. When someone tells me the best, I'm like, the best is here. It's now. It's not aspiring in the future to become the best. It means what is Auckland offering now, and why is it the best for Pasifika? He said that Auckland is an amazing city. It's got connections, the economy, it's positive for people. He mentioned all these wonderful keywords, and then he also kind of took half of what we were going to be saying about why it's not the best. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but the stone-cold reality about housing affordability is that when I moved up 3 weeks ago from Dunedin and I drove through South Auckland, I saw homelessness on the street. I turned on the news and I saw stories about Pacific families and children living out of their cars. The plain simple fact is generally that if you're a Pacific Islander in Auckland today, your salary will not be able to meet the demands of the rapid rate of increase in rent. The available housing lacks quality supply, is sparse in terms of products involved in it, and good luck to us, yes, me, trying to buy my own house when I know that there's been approximately 61% increase in residential housing, in residential value of housing. So you may think this is the plight of every Aucklander who has to deal with it. It's not common, it's a common conversation that all Aucklanders have to deal with it. But the Langa Full report notes that Pacific people's average incomes are 34% lower than the national average. So Pacific people are already starting out disadvantaged because we're lower than the national average. The heart of the question is that if you look at the statistics, people are lower end in nearly all of the statistics. Auckland is the most expensive city to live in. It's not the best to live in, and there's no wonder, and it's no wonder why. New stuff, articles that just came out, Pacific Island families ditching Auckland, the new wave of Pacific migration, thousands leaving Auckland, housing crisis behind for life in province. That's the stone cold hard facts, is that people are seeing there are better opportunities in terms of housing outside of Auckland. Whew, sorry about that. The second affirmative speaker has weaved a wonderful story. We all have those incredible stories. We all love Auckland. But unfortunately, I have to say that Auckland isn't the Mecca. It's not the be-all and end-all. There are so many wonderful, amazing opportunities outside of Auckland, and I'm living proof of that. I was born and raised in South Auckland. I was born and raised in Papakura. Then I had the opportunity to go away. I went down to Dunedin. I lived in Samoa for a year and a half. And I was able to mold my life and become more enriched by the experiences outside of Auckland, but also I was able to stay connected with my roots in Samoa. Most notably, I learned that belonging, this is the key word, belonging, is not just a physical space or dimension. it's not just about being here in Auckland. As Pacific people, we are global people. We are interconnected from the world. We are interconnected around the world. We are people who have moved from islands to islands, belonging as an identity, a heritage, community, and family. And you can get that anywhere in the world. I also wanted to just note that in the affirmative side, it's also about how the old have moved and migrated for opportunities here in Auckland. Well, actually, if it was the same situation now, I don't think Auckland would be the place people would be moving to. Just look at the news here, the classic news articles, which I just shared. Goodness, is that the time already? It's just on the rebuttal. This third speaker she's done an incredible job. She's an amazing speaker. She's doing so much for our Auckland community. She talked about one thing, and that's that we have this deficit thinking. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe it's deficit thinking. I don't think that at all. I think it's holding people in this room accountable to the stone cold hard facts of the reality of Pacific and Auckland, and that is this panel here. In terms of civic participation, oh my goodness, there is just no participation at all in Pasifika and Auckland community groups. How are people meant to write in submissions when really that's not the way that our Pacific people dialogue at all? We whānau, we speak, we hold these discussions. You as councillors, respectfully, and committee members, you have the task of engaging our Pacific community. Sending an email off or ringing people on the phone is not going to get the answers that you really want. You need to place money, and you need to place more opportunities for engaging Pacific communities the way Pacific people engage. So ladies and gentlemen, I think that's all I had time for in rebuttal. In terms of the debate, everyone has spoken. Is Auckland the best place to live for Pacific Islanders? And I believe that the negating team has shared the actual statistic reasons why currently it's not. But in a hopeful plea that maybe in the future it will be. Whaftai lava.
Wow, thank you everyone. So let's give another big hand to all the debaters for the presentation arguments they put forward. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick summation of the points on both sides for you to consider and to think about. And then, unfortunately, due to time restraints, because everyone is ignoring the tapping, but it was just legit ignoring it. Not even polite, eh? Just keep going. But it is what it is. We've kind of run out of time for comments and questions at this stage, but the debaters and a lot of the councillors and a lot of us here from the panel are going to be here at the end. So if you feel free, if you want to talk to any of the debaters, any of us or anyone, you have that opportunity over food, which is always awesome. Better to talk over food anyway. So that's why just a quick heads up. Time restraints has meant we can't go into any further commentary or questions, but again, opportunity at the end. So I'll do a quick summation now, and then I'll hand it over to Taito, who's just going to moderate the final part, and you can decide who won, because that's what it's about, eh, guys? It's about winning, you got to win. So just from the affirmative, so again, they noted key points just around a large proportion of the Pacific are in Auckland. They voted with their feet, many job opportunities, lifestyle. They also recommended some inclusionary zoning policies and also build-to-rent initiatives. They also highlighted that Auckland is a home for the community, school, church, Pacific, belonging. These are key aspects that have attracted our people to be here in Auckland. There was also an emphasis on social capital, which is hard to measure but is evident in the reality of our community. It's real, it's happening right now, and again, what they've done is that Auckland has also got a lot of Pacific-oriented initiatives, such as Mates, Tūla'i, and a whole host of other things that are run through Council. So Council has a heavy investment in Pacific initiatives, and that there is a deficit mentality which needs to be reversed as our people are resilient, and that a strength-based approach is the way Auckland should be moving forward anyway. Just with the negating team, that's the correct term, is it negating? Thank you. Negating team says that housing affordability is a reality, it's real. In Auckland in particular, it's down to the multiples of 9 in terms of your income, is how expensive it is in Auckland, and that there is a need to be innovative and dynamic in the approach around housing affordability. They've also, from the negating team, there's also emphasized the potential to be a better place. Employment rates in management for Pacific is poor, and that needs to be addressed, and that we are more than just athletes. That Pacific leadership and management in this industry is, again, an example of the lack of Pacific presence in leadership and management. And they also emphasize that what is good for Pacific is good for Auckland and good for New Zealand. They also emphasize that there's statistics just around 30% of incomes are lower for those in the Pacific community, and that belonging is more than just a physical space. It's a connection that allows our people to connect beyond Auckland, that you can be in Samoa, you can be in Switzerland, you can be everywhere, and you can still connect and belong to your community. So you don't have to be in Auckland, and there's opportunities outside of Auckland that our people need to look at, utilize, and recognize. So those are the key points, and thank you very much to all your debaters for communicating those points to us here and to everyone here in this forum, and I'll just hand it over to Taito. Thank you.
So I've now been delegated, voluntold that I must perform the vote. So we're going to do one of two things. We're going to do the formal way, the committee way, by show of hands, and then we're going to make some noise, which is the Pacific way. So I'm going to do 3 votes. A vote here, a vote there, and a show of hands, and then we're going to make some noise. So to the panelists, show of hands if the negating team are the winners. You feel free to vote for yourself. Whoa, right. Okay, that's 3 votes. Show of hands, everything. The affirmative team took the prize today for the debate. Okay. Well, it would seem it's a tie. Committee members, show of hands for the affirmative team. Beg your pardon, there's a vote? Is this a point of order? Is this a point of order, Mr. Shamabeel? Committee members, show of hands for the affirmative. Right, okay. And show of hands for the negative. Okie doke. Councillor Watson, you're aware this is an election year, right? And that's I'm kidding. Members of the audience, show of hands for the affirmative team. All right. Show of hands for the negative team. Woo. All right. Indeed, and well, Councillor, in the interest of time. So we're going to do it how we do it in the Pacific. We're going to take it to the proverbial streets. I'm going to get you to make some noise. Please leave the chairs as they are. This is a council venue. Please do not damage the property. Round of applause for the affirmative team. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the negative team.
Pressure, Taito, pressure.
Chairperson Casey, is there a trilogy to this, or is this it?
It's on you, bro. Over to you,
Right.
Taito. Sorry.
As much as I would love to quote John 13:35, Jesus said that you're my disciples if you love one another, and we say everybody wins because of Jesus, I have to make a decision. And because, now I'll caveat that with I work for Auckland Council, I want to be employed tomorrow morning. No, I will say this. There are some fantastic arguments. There are some fantastic facts. There are many, many success stories who are sitting here in the room. Our forebearers, our pioneers, our moko, those that are to come after us. There is a reason why, challenges, tribulations and all, we are still living in Auckland. That is because Auckland is the best place to live. Congratulations. Ho mai te paki paki whānau.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful way of putting Pacific issues on the table for us councillors. Thank you. While you were debating, two people sneaked into the room, and I'd like them to introduce themselves. One was a member of the Pacific People's Panel, Sefita, and another is our councillor, Josephine. Sefita.
How much time do I have, Councillor?
1 minute.
And part of the panel, and thank you. I managed to catch what I thought was the key word to all this, Councillor, resilience. And for what it's worth, there's a difference between the resilience of a Pacific Island property developer and the resilience of a family who are struggling to get school uniform for their kids from the op shop. Resilience is a worthwhile quality, young woman, but we should differentiate between the ill effect of resilience from a well-to-do Pacific Island person in Auckland and those of us who are still struggling to find a car big enough so we could be comfortable for the night. Councillor, thank you for the time and appreciate the fact that you're all here. Mr. Watson, thank you very much. We probably won't have a job next time round, but so it is.
Thank you. Josephine.
Whaftai tele lava mo le awanoa, talofa lava, malo le lei ki orana, Nissan Bulavinaka, whakalofa lahi atu, and hello everybody. My apologies for being late. I had another meeting regarding the disability sector and the ministers, so my sincere apologies. Thank you very much to the Pacific panel, Lau Pepe, Taito, for putting on this event. What a typical Pasifika way to discuss an issue for the Community Development and Safety Committee. So thank you very much to everybody involved, all the panelists. I think it's a really good topic. You know, we know Auckland is our home, we love Auckland, but we also acknowledge that although some of our Pacific community are doing well, a lot of our Pacific community are struggling. And that is the challenge that we face as Pasifika Aucklanders, is how do we look after our own in an environment that is actually quite challenging, no matter what level we hold in Auckland. So again, thank you very much for this topic, and have a good Easter, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Josephine. Just before I hand over to Koro, so prepare yourself, I'll just like to move a vote of thanks to the speakers. It's quite a long one, so I'm not going to read it out. I'll just ask for a seconder. Thank you, Wayne. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Koro Dickinson over there is the lead officer for the Pacific People's Panel, and he's going to give what we call the State of the Nation address, which is basically to say what we are doing now for Pacific people and set the context. Over to you.
Tēnā koutou, everybody, ko Koro Dickinson ahau, no miriku ao ingere e noho anau ki te tāmaki makaurau. Nai nei, mai ahau he mātanga whanau na au, I mahi ana au ki te kunihira o Tāmaki Makaurau, Are Te Reo Pākehā, Auckland Council. Thank you, Councillor Casey. My name is Koro Dickinson. I'm one of the executive officers at Auckland Council, and I have the honour of being the lead officer for the advisory panel, which I have the pleasure of working with. I feel like as a proud Cook Island Māori, I need to stand up and debate some of the issues too, but I need to be really sensible and provide an Auckland Council view to the extent possible. So thank you very much to the debaters. I really appreciated and enjoyed the thoughts and views that you shared with us. Some of the things that resonated with me as a staff member of Auckland Council, as a Cook Island Māori, as an Aucklander, is we spoke about aspirations. And that was really quite powerful. Our ancestors, our grandparents had aspirations and they moved here to Tāmaki Makaurau. We talked about belonging and that being quite important for you to be able to contribute, be it your work, to your family, to your community. So that is an issue, as a challenge and as an aspiration is really, really important to us as Auckland Council. And that hard, strong question, which the Council is committed to standing up and being truthful and supporting the Pacifica communities is, if not us, who? And it certainly is Auckland Council that can help Pacifica communities, but we need to work with many other people at Pacifica communities and central government to make a difference. And if not now, when? Well, we're definitely in the now, and Auckland Council is doing a multitude of things. As a proud Auckland Council staff member, we could spend the rest of our committee time talking about some of the great things that Auckland Council is doing, both internally to make sure that we reflect as an organisation our Pacifica communities and the diversity of our Pacifica communities inside our organisation. That's where I'd like to start. But then I'd just like to take up 3 or 4 examples of things that we're doing with our community. So let me start with what we're doing internally. There's a really strong commitment for our organisation at a governance level to reflect and ensure that we have people from the communities and as well as our Pacifica communities to be on our boards and to be in governance roles as part of the Auckland Council group. So what that means is that we have boards for our CCOs. CCOs is a council-controlled organisation, and there will be opportunities for people to nominate themselves or people in their communities to nominate them to be representatives and for their voices to be heard on those boards. There are several CCOs, and there will be opportunities for Pacifica leaders to put their hands up for those governance roles. And that's a great opportunity for your voices to be heard in those forums and those organisations. At our senior leadership level within the organisation, for the first time in the existence of our organisation, we're putting targets in place to reflect our communities. So we're going to have targets around ensuring that we have number of women, a number of Māori, and a number of Pacific and other ethnicities in our senior leadership roles. So again, as an organisation, we're reflecting the diversity of our community inside our organisation. So that's a journey that we're starting, and we're really committed to it. Another thing that we're doing is actively supporting our Moana Pacifica staff network with several thousand employees. Without a doubt, we have a number of them that come from our Pacifica communities, and we want to support and enable them to bring their full potential self to work, bring their diversity, bring their language, bring their unique commitment to their communities, and bringing their value of serving something greater than themselves or serving their communities to work every single day. And Auckland Council is a big, proud sponsor of the Prime Minister Pacific Youth Awards, and will continue to be committed to sponsoring the awards going forward. And then most recently in the International Women's Day event that we held at the Town Hall, there was a really strong Pacifica women's flavour there. Councillor Bartley was one of the panellists, but that was Auckland Council's commitment to reflect the diversity of our community. And for you just being here today and the committee allowing the panel to jointly hold this committee is a strong reflection of Council's willingness and genuineness of wanting to lean into having conversations, meaningful conversations in kōrero with the community about some of the challenges that we all face here in Auckland, but some of the awesome opportunities as well. If someone that's in charge of the IT could just bring up the presentation. I'm not going to be a death by PowerPoint, but I do want to flag 3 or 4 points and examples. And then what I'm going to do, because we didn't have a chance to have questions from the committee or the floor, maybe I'll quickly run through these, then we'll have some time at the end of this to ask some questions. So we'll get into the formal stuff, public. Committee and the chair, I'll take the report as read. The purpose is to provide the committee and the panel members' presentation outlining examples of the work that Council is doing to support our Pacifica communities across Tāmaki Makaurau. So we're briefly just going to focus on 4 examples of the things that we're doing as an organisation to support our Pacifica communities, and then we'll just note 3 steps really quickly, and then we're going to leave plenty of time for pātai. So in February 2019, so just a couple of months ago, the council had the honour of supporting the opening of La Whanga, the opera. This was a great opportunity for us to support the Samoan community and their creatives and the delivery of this outdoor immersive event. It was held for over 3 nights, and it was a fantastic response from the community. And looking forward, we're really, really excited about the potential for maybe this coming every summer as part of the events and activities that we hold during our summer, all the events that happen over the summer. So this is really well received from the community. Another example of what the council is doing through our local boards, the Faux People's Plan. So the Faux is one of our local boards, and they made a really strong commitment to putting together a Pacific People's Plan for the first time. And now we have 21 local boards, so there's a really, really strong commitment there, and a really great example that all the other local boards can have Pacific plans for their respective communities. Pacific communities are incredibly diverse and quite different from parts of the region. So it makes sense that we can have these plans. So there's a strong commitment from the local board to their communities, and this local board has set the example of what we can do going forward. And then the 2019 Pacific Music Awards, which are going to be held next month at the Vodafone Events Centre. 15th year and incredibly successful, and the council is really, really proud and supportive of this as one of the main sponsors. In fact, we're sponsoring the best Pacific female artist. So this will take place next month, but again, council's commitment to supporting our Pacifica communities, and in particular our creative communities, is really, really strong. The fourth example I have here will require us to pull up a video. Now, this is a really, really good example of what was regarded as upcycling or recycling, and it's a great collaboration between the Cook Island community and the Sikh community of Auckland. So hopefully we've...
The Sikh temple in South Auckland is packed with worshippers every weekend. They come to reflect, to hear religious verses and to give thanks.
When the pupils are blessed with any happiness, they always come to offer the Rumala Sahib.
Rumala Sahib are beautiful fabrics. Hundreds are offered up as altar cloths every month.
We just used for maybe only few hours, or maybe sometime only few minutes.
Then they're packed away for disposal.
From years and years, we just burning them.
The Takanini temple alone was burning around 1 tonne a year, releasing more than 3.6 tonnes of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Until now.
So what we're trying to do, we're trying to give it a new life, to save it from burning it. So I call it recycling.
These Cook Islanders are thrilled to be among community groups receiving the donated fabric, although at first it took a bit of getting used to.
And they're looking at this piece of beautiful material that you would probably wear as a ball gown. And because of the sacred nature of where they've come from, cutting it just seemed not a nice thing to do.
But the results have been worth it. The Cook Islands mamas, respected elderly women, have created tavaivai, traditional quilting, pillowcases and bags. And they've had a lot of fun doing it.
This Cook Islands group is organising an exhibition for October, showcasing traditional Cook Islands creative arts and incorporating material donated from the Sikh community.
And they've learnt a lot about each other.
We're on a journey of discovery too. You know, the pieces of material that are being incorporated into a very old craft, it's telling a new story.
And they have a message for their new friends.
Thank you.
Barbara Drever, One News.
Sorry, Chair, apologies for all the audio there. Maybe I can turn it over. Maybe you could best explain. Wow. You know, what was happening there in terms of the community and what our Cook Islands women were doing there?
Thank you for the opportunity. I didn't get a chance to speak a little bit about the professional work that we do in the community that empowers and enables our community to take a much stronger sense of belonging in their community and reconnecting and connecting with communities they would have not otherwise have made. This relationship will go on into the future. These beautiful materials are being turned into precious crafts. They have also, we've also been able to put them down to, we have a small contract with Te Papa to be able to take some of these beautiful materials and crafts and turn them into something that would be of value, repurposed. And this was a relationship that we were able to have through council staff who saw an opportunity. We saw the opportunity. This Auckland is all about choice, opportunity and hope. We will gravitate to that. The community will take up those opportunities. This is only but one. And we want to work with communities to build their economic platform. And community social enterprise cooperatives is what we're working on. So all of our capitals are beautiful. Our social, our cultural capitals are beautiful. But we still need to be working on a number of others, like our financial capital, our physical capital, and all of our economic capital. This is the starting of many things that will be developed into the future. So I'm really excited about being able to show that off a little bit, because it's not that all we're providing is a vehicle to empower our communities to do more.
Thank you very much. Chair, I'm not going to cover it in this presentation because I have some of my good colleagues from libraries. They're coming back to report on some of what our libraries, the services that they provide to our Pacifica communities, and I think they will do a much better job than myself. So that's why one of the 4 examples here wasn't a libraries example, but there's certainly a report this morning. So just to close, Chair, Auckland Council recognises that our Pacifica people plays a really important role, both in economic and social and cultural fabric of this region and this city, and they will continue to do so going forward. The medium-term projections by Statistics New Zealand suggest that the Pacifica peoples will make up about 17% of Tāmaki Makaurau's population by 2038. So, notwithstanding that many of our Pacifica communities experience social and economic challenges disproportionately compared to other Aucklanders, there are a number of things that the Council is doing. The strong aspirations that we have for our people is imbued and embedded in the Auckland Plan. The strong commitment that the Auckland Council has to belonging is built into the Auckland Plan, the strategy that we have for our people and our city. And the Council will continue to support our community in a number of ways. We will continue to reflect our Pacifica communities within our own organisation. I covered that, but I've provided and highlighted just a few examples, and there are many, many more of the things and the good work and the good mahi that both the organisation and our staff are delivering every day to our Pacifica communities to support them so that they continue to thrive, work, live and study in Auckland. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Koro. Just before you finish and before we put the motion, could you hand the microphone to Kalinda, because she's the only person sitting up here who hasn't introduced herself, and I know that you couldn't do your job without her.
Hi, kia ora everyone. I'm Kalinda. I am the governance advisor that works with the Pacific Peoples Advisory Panel, and I have the pleasure of knowing all the panel members really well. So thank you for having this fantastic idea and allowing us to facilitate it for you.
Thank you very much. You're off the hook, Koro, because we have no time for questions. So I am going to put the motion, and I'll read it out. We're going to have the libraries up next. That we receive the high-level presentation from staff in relation to examples of initiatives and projects Council does to support Pacifica people, and note that this information assists the committee in understanding the issues important to Pacifica people living and working in Tāmaki Makaurau. Seconded by Josephine. All those in favour? Against? Carried. My delight now to invite the libraries to come up and sit beside Cora, if you could just make a wee bit of room. Eleanor and Kim will tell you what the libraries are doing to assist Pacifica people in Auckland. I did.
Kia rana koutou katoa, ko au te akaari no te nā I Wairangapuka o Akarana I te tonga, I itinga, ko au te Pauarihi Pātaka Koro, a hapuri ki te tonga me te rāwhiri, and then Te Reo Papa I'm the head of Community Libraries South and East, and my name is Kim Tonga. I have my colleague Eleanor here.
Ngā mihi nui ki a koutou katoa, pātalo whātu I le paia manu malu au fia le nei aso. My name is Eleanor Motsilimati, and I'm the Principal Advisor at Auckland Libraries. It's great to be here.
Kia ora, Eleanor. So we're here to give you an update on what libraries are doing for our Pacific communities. And we're also, in the last couple of years, the focus of our work has been based on a document that we created, Talanoa, and we have some copies to give to the panel later, because it's also, the document was put together with whānau, with our communities and with our Pacifica staff, but we also came to the previous PPAC panel, and I'd like to acknowledge the previous chair, Sena, and the current panel, Kia ora. And we came to them for advice and guidance a couple of times as we put together our Talanoa document. But it wasn't quite finished at the end of their term, so Sena won't have seen it, and neither will of the members of the panel who are from the previous panel. So there's some recommendations that came out of the Talanoa document, and we're just going to focus on a few of them today and highlight some of just 3 or 4 things that libraries are doing that have come from the framework of Talanoa. So one of the recommendations was around growth, tupu, and building strong foundations for a sustainable workforce and fostering vibrant Pacific leaders. So within libraries, we have created 13 new Pacific specialist positions, and they're at various levels in the organisation, but in terms of really important creating positions for Pacific leadership, and Eleanor is a perfect example of that, and in her new role as our Principal Advisor Pacific of our libraries, she's doing fantastic work across council and within libraries. So, kia ora, Ali. Another one of our recommendations is around collaboration and to create a public library collection that reaches the heart of Pacific communities and customers. So this is a picture of a project called Te Maroro, a partnership with the Kiribati community based in the Warkworth area. And this was a partnership with Auckland Libraries, the Art Gallery, and the communities, where we created some alphabet, number, and colour books. And they have been launched with that community, and they're available in our libraries at the moment. And our next content creation work is with the Tuvalu community. Another one of the recommendations within Talanoa is to reflect the cultural needs and aspirations of Pacific peoples and communities, to strengthen access and create spaces that enhance confident engagement in the use of our libraries. So we have completed a project at the Otara Library where we worked with the Roots Collective and the community and our Pacifica staff to bring a Pacifica kaupapa to deliver a community-centred experience at the Otara Library for the Otara community. And that's a picture of some of the kids who had a lot to do with the stuff at Otara, and if you're welcome to visit Otara Library, which is in the town centre, and see some of the work that's going on there. Another recommendation, that the voice of Auckland Libraries speaks to Pacific peoples. We wanted to use our deep understanding and expectations of Pacific people's priorities to shape the Auckland Libraries promotion that engages our Pacific people. So there's just a few examples here of exhibitions and talks that reflect communities. So the Tupu Youth Library in Dawson Road in Otara has a project called Living Legends, and they invite legends from the community, and then there's a picture here of Kānoa Lloyd and Jessie Mulligan visiting Tupu Library. There's photographic exhibitions which are using our Pacific collections of libraries to really show what we have got available, and there's some photograph collections about Polyfest which highlight our communities. We have a South Auckland Poets Collective first 10 years, which is all pretty much done out of Auckland Resources, and we also have Darren Kamali as our Pacific curator who works for us now and helped put that exhibition together. And at Rānui, with the Pacifica Mamas, we had an A project. So I've just passed my colleague Eleanor. Would you like to say anything?
So Auckland Libraries is working really hard to reflect our community, to create a sense of identity within our communities, and the spaces that library has to reflect those of our people and telling our stories our way.
Kia ora e kia manuia.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. As always, our libraries always engage in our themes, and they're always at the forefront of pushing the boundaries. Thank you. I'll ask somebody to move receipt of the report. Richard, seconded by Paul. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now, I do invite you to stay. We have one more item. We're about to give away $323,000 to, I think, about 27 lucky recipients, and this is the way we do our business. So you will enjoy the next 15 minutes. I'll invite Catherine, wherever she is, to come up. We've already had a workshop on this, but there may be questions from the panel. Catherine, could you just take us through the highlights?
Kia ora tātou, talofa lava and warm Pacific greetings. That has been such a privilege to be here and see this. And I just sneak in and give away some, our council gives away some money. This is the second funding round of the Regional Arts and Culture Grants Program this year. Some of the highlights, I think, is that councillors will recall that at this meeting last year, there were a lot of applications that fitted with the funding program, but were not able to be funded purely because of pressure on funds. And our council team here worked very, very hard to push for an increase in funding for this fund, and it has made a huge difference. The assessment panel who make the recommendations for this noted that they were really able to recommend grants to fund projects for success, so people weren't applying for an amount of funding and getting half of it. Most of the grantees are getting what they need to do to have a successful project. So really thank you to the Community Development and Safety Committee for doing that work to do that. Another thing that we've noted in this funding round has been the increase from previous funding rounds for applications from Māori organisations and with strong Māori outcomes, which has been really good. In the looking at the theme of today's meeting, one of our subject matter experts on the assessment panel, Sefa Inari, really commented when he was going through the applications about how, while some of the applications that are recommended for funding, such as the Sisters United Trust, which is Paris Goebbels and her sisters, doing art workshops for Māori and Pacifica young women, they're specifically Pacific, but a lot of the other things that are recommended for funding have a strong Māori and Pacific support or development or audience development theme running through them as well, which is really great to see. And I'm currently working with Silo Theatre Company and Tautai Contemporary Arts Trust on some applications that will be coming in our September meeting, which are 4 Pacific programs that they're looking at working on together, which is going to be pretty exciting as well. So I have talked to quite a few of the councillors about the recommendations, but if you have any questions, really happy to answer them.
Thank you, Catherine. I'll just check on that. Is there any questions from the committee? There isn't. I have a mover in Daniel, seconded by Wayne. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Fantastic. We have no extraordinary items, so Afa, would you mind closing the meeting with a prayer? Thank you.
Thank you, Lord, for being with us today in our meeting. As we come to the end, we pray to bless us, each one, as we go our various places today. Lord, we also pray that you bless the food that has been prepared for us, and may it nourish us to do a better work for our community and our people today. For this we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you all for coming. I close the meeting.